Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The SNP has an unfortunate history. In its early days, it set itself up along the same lines as the National Socialists in Germany, and indeed during the war, they supported that particular group during the war. They were on the side of the bad guys. They don't like talking about it, of course. It's their dirty little secret. It's their skeleton in the closet, and they don't want to bring that particular skeleton out again. So we promise we will never ever mention it again, unless they bring it up. So Hamza Yousaf is bestriding the continent, going from country to country on his European tour, because he's a world leader now, enjoying himself, having a little jolly, all at taxpayers' expense, of course, just like those two that have taken themselves off to Vancouver at taxpayers' expense. And he's meeting and greeting and pushing the drum out and saying, look at us, we're a European country. Anyone with a map would know that, but he feels it's necessary to tell people that Scotland is a country in Europe for some reason. Anyway, it's rather unfortunate then that he sits down to meet with a particular person, who we'll find out in a minute, the head of the Flemish government, a man called Jan Jambon. And Mr. Jambon isn't the sort of person you would sit down to meet if your party had a very difficult history. But we'll have a look at it in a moment. It's a very, very quick piece. It's another shining example of bad optics and bad choices. But what else do you expect from the SNP? Here goes. So Hamza Yousaf declares Scotland is a European nation as he signs a deal with a fellow separatist. We know it's a European nation. Look, there's a picture of Europe. There's Scotland. Top of the class, laddie. Top of the class. Anyway, the First Minister met with the head of the Flemish government, Jan Jambon, and signed a deal with his fellow separatist who wanted independent Flanders well away from Belgium. I'm sure he does, and he very nearly had it 70, 80 years ago, something like that. Anyway, Hamza Yousaf has been mocked, say it ain't so. Mocked. They mocked him, they did, after declaring that Scotland is a European nation. No shit, Sherlock. As he attempts to woo Belgian politicians on his first trip abroad as First Minister. And he also signed a new deal with fellow separatists who previously courted controversy by attending a celebration of Belgians who fought on the other side during World War II. This guy goes to parties, goes to celebrations for people who supported and fought with the bad guys of the Second World War. So they're not it's not the Scottish National Party, is it? It's more the Snazis. We'll have to call them the Snazis now. So he's sitting down and breaking bread with that kind of person. Are you kidding me? Does nobody sort of work out and tell you who these people are? The SNP leader has escaped to Brussels following his poorly received keynote speech at his party's independence convention, where he announced to a room full of 12 people and a dog that he would want to break up the UK, despite not having the support of the majority of Scots. What is he? Turning himself into Stalin now, is he? He also claimed he would create an EU envoy role to promote the independence across Europe. And I did a video on that where basically the EU said, no you won't. You're not allowed to do that. The EU even the EU refused it. They said, no, you can't. So the UK government said no, the EU said no, and the majority of Scots are saying no. And still he tries. Bless his heart, because all he's got is to keep making the attempts in the vain hope that one day he might get there. He will never get there. Anyway, his proposals were met with scepticism from inside the nationalist camp. Even his own supporters said no. An EU source slapped down his envoy claims, saying they'll only speak with the official governments of third parties, i.e. Westminster, not, the Mayor of Scotland. He said that Mr Yousaf is still trying to position Scotland as independent of the UK, which it clearly isn't. He used the speech in Brussels to tell political and business people that Scotland views itself very much as a European nation. Well, it's in Europe, yes. Speaking at the European Policy Centre, he highlighted the country's important role in areas like renewable energy, the well-being economy, science and innovation. what the hell is the well-being economy? You know, I'll give him the energy, the renewable energy, but only because he's plastered the top of Scotland with millions of bird choppers. But that's about it. Anyway, this was mocked on social media. Who pointed out that he was just pointing out something obvious, as Scotland is located in Europe. I said, we are of the same mind. One person wrote, obviously, lol, we're part of Europe, to which somebody responded, Hamza Yousaf winning the State in the Bleeding Obvious Award for 2023. Another Twitter user added, it's quite amazing that merely stating the fact that Scotland is in Europe is apparently considered an impressive political statement in some circles. Well, you've got to be honest, for him that's quite bright. I didn't even know he could read a map. Anyway, one of Mr Yousaf's more prominent meetings was with the Minister-President of Flanders, Jan Jambon, who is a fellow separatist known for having extreme right-wing views, as in you-know-who, National Socialist. They signed a memorandum of understanding on trade, research, culture and environment. That doesn't sound like, research, culture and environment. Yes. Didn't you-know-who have something very similar, a Ministry of Culture, where they went around making sure you were of the right culture, checking your grandparents, great-grandparents, and they were the right culture? Yes, they did a lot of research on that sort of thing, didn't they? Dr. Mengele did a lot of research on that sort of thing as well. You wouldn't necessarily want to admit that you're chummy with them. Anyway, Mr. Jambon is the head of the Flemish government and holds a similar role to the First Minister, as it is a regional government within Belgium. So he's the Lord Mayor of Flanders, effectively. His right-wing New Flemish Alliance Party is pushing for an independent Flanders. Okay, and that's fair enough. Nobody's saying you can't push for it. Anyway, key Yousaf ally Neil Gray has previously met with the same controversial politician on one of his jaunts to Brussels. I think we need jollies. One of his jollies to Brussels. Because he has no other business being there. He's not a representative of the UK government, so therefore he's there in a private capacity, but paid for at public expense. It was previously revealed that Mr. Jambon had attended a meeting in 2001 of Belgians who had fought for that side of Germany, the national, bad Germany. We'll call them bad Germany, yeah? The losers. It was called the 50th anniversary celebration of the Flemish Eastern Front Community St. Martensfonds VZW. It was a former organisation of Flemish former volunteers of the Flemish Legion and Waffen SS. You couldn't make this up, could you? So it's not just a random meeting. There's been several meetings of several people within the SNP of a group that aligns itself with Waffen SS. If ever there's a reason not to vote for the SNP, I think we've just found rock bottom. I mean, absolutely. How bad can it get? You're not just supporting them in the Second World War. You're now meeting them and celebrating with them as they celebrate those glorious soldiers who fought for the Waffen SS. Sorry, it's very hard. It's very easy to mock. It is so easy to mock. Anyway, he reportedly, this is Neil Gray, reportedly gave a speech at the event, and when quizzed about it later on, he justified by saying, it's easy to talk in retrospect. The people who collaborated with the Germans had their reasons. I do not live in that period. No, you live in a period where you should know better. You can't claim ignorance because it was happening around you and you didn't see it. You've had your history lessons, mate. You've seen the world at war, You know your shit here, and you are still mixing with these people. Oh my God. And these people aren't people who, quote, collaborated with them. They fought alongside them against you, against the British. Oh my God almighty. It gets worse for the SNP. I'm reading this and it's just, I can't get over it, really. Anyway, Mr. Yousaf is set to meet with members of the EU Commission as he attempts to set up the prospect of the Scottish Government diplomatic presence in Brussels. This is a load of rubbish. He's then going on to kiss the feet of a statue of Lenin, presumably go mark the grave of Adolphus Hitlerani, whatever. I can't say his name on there, Mr. Schicklgruber, for those who know, is his real name. Yeah, the little Austrian fellow. Anyway. Talk about highlighting your party's worst kept secret. You're going and sitting and celebrating and giving speeches at a celebration of those who fought for the Waffen SS against Britain. Oh, SNP, there is no low to which you will not stretch, is there? It is absolutely amazing. Anyway, I'm going to finish there and come up. Are they going to adopt a new anthem for the SNP? Deutschland, Deutschland über alles? Are they going to have a new flag? Something presumably quite a lot of red, a little bit of white, and a little black thing in the middle. I mean, seriously, how on earth has this gone through that they've done it not once, but twice with that particular group of ultra-right wing? I can't make this up. I mean, I said earlier, it's easy to mock, and it is, and that's why we do it. But this actually isn't funny. I mean, it is funny, yes, of course, it's hilarious, but it isn't funny. It really shouldn't be. If this group, the Scottish National Socialist Party, then if they're aligning themselves with people like this, it's actually quite worrying, because it gives you the direction of travel if they ever got control of an independent Scotland. Independent Scotland, it would be declaring war on Poland. I mean, seriously. It would certainly put the tanks across the border into Northumberland and take back, a big chunk of England. It'll want Berwick. Berwick will be Gdansk. Or Danzig, as the Germans called it. That'll be the prelude to war, wouldn't it? They'll rumble the tanks in and take Berwick. I mean, it is a joke. And they're sitting there, and they're not once but twice aligning themselves with it. We've got to really stop the SNP now. They are getting dangerous, aren't they? They're so stupid. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed making this video, and I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And I would ask that if you have, do please subscribe. We need to get the numbers up. It is very good. But I work hard on these, so do please reward my hard work and my joy, in this case, with a subscription. Thank you very much. Until next time, stay safe, stay well. Don't invade. Please, God, don't invade Berwick. And goodbye.